Hi, everyone. I'm Steel Wagstaff. Welcome to the July Pressbooks Monthly Product Update. We've got a bunch of exciting things that we want to share with folks. And the first thing I want to share are a couple of new features or things that we have released into our production environments lately. The first is fairly minor, but it comes from the Malala theme. In Malala, before, there were a couple of things that we had noticed that people didn't love. One of them is very minor, but if you notice here on these text boxes, there was a very small, very faint blue border inside of the text box. And it was an accidental leftover from CSS. The other thing was a little bit more noticeable, but this theme was using a justification, which was causing some readability or accessibility issues for people by default. So in the new version of Malala, you can see the blue border is gone from those text boxes, and we're no longer using hard justification. Instead, it's just ragged right on that right side, which makes it usually easier for folks to read. The second big thing that we did was on Pressbooks Directory. So the Pressbooks Directory, as many of you know, is the place that you can go and find thousands of public and often openly licensed books to clone or adapt or use at your institution. It lives at Pressbooks Directory. The big change that we made a bunch of changes to the fetcher that runs in the back end. This is a tool that we built that will query all of these networks' APIs and fetch updates about the metadata and other things in these books. So we really kind of upgraded and updated the fetcher. And we also added a few networks that we had not been previously indexing for the first time. So if you were to come into network, here's one from Germany that was called Buchenetz that we added. Another one is called Pressbooks Create. And a third one is Libraries Publishing Pro. So these were three networks that we weren't previously indexing. We were able to build a separate set of filter conditions. So only books with open licenses from these networks are now going to be included. But this includes the new subscription service for Pressbooks for individuals. So people who publish open books there will or can have their books included in the directory. And you can see there's some really interesting books that are now indexed. There's a great textbook about American environmental history from our friend Dana Lasso. There's some stuff about clickbait, propaganda, bias, and information networks that I didn't know existed before. Consumer nutrition book, Hispanic culture through the screen. It's a Spanish language text here from Bemidji State. Economics, there's a bunch of really interesting stuff here that's now been indexed in the Pressbooks directory. So we hope that people enjoy that change. And if you have other things that you notice about the directory that you'd like us to improve, let us know and we'll try to be adding them. In the near future, we're going to be adding some changes to the front end of the directory and updating a bunch of the dependencies and the display things for that. So that's coming soon. The next thing that I wanted to share, I guess, is a short update from Amy.
Yes, so if you are a network administrator, which I think most of you are, we sent out a survey. It's no longer than 5 minutes. I have the proof. I got a first view of the results, and it said the average amount of time it took was 5 minutes. So I promise it won't take any longer than that. But this will really help us make the platform so much better for all of you and our services better for all of you. There's a link to that there. It's completely anonymous. It's just for our purposes so that we have a better idea of how our clients use Pressbooks and whether or not they enjoy using Pressbooks and whether or not they feel like the support that they receive from Pressbooks is adequate. So that those are things that are really important to us that will help us serve you better. So if you could please take 5 minutes to do that, we would really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy. And I just want to assure everybody as well, the last time that we did this survey, based on the results, we were able to make some significant changes to our documentation, to the guides, and even the way that we were offering training. So we really are interested in the results. We want to listen to people and we want to make improvements to the things that we're offering. So your feedback will help us make your life better, we hope, or at least that's our intention. I think as many of you know, we have been thinking about and working on improving the user experience in Pressbooks. And the place that we've decided to start focusing first is the network catalog available through our theme called Aldine. And so Michelle led a recent UX research survey and we'll kind of share some of the findings and talk to you about what's coming next.
Yeah, so we would like to, of course, redesign those network catalogs so that we can improve them and so people can find and showcase Pressbooks even better. The last 3 weeks we spent conducting some research, so both including looking at a lot of online catalogs for their kind of design and functionality, But more importantly, we did interview 6 people, primarily network managers, had interviews. Travis helped me with that, the librarian. I can see that he's in here. And so some of the things that we really found out is that people were primarily using the network catalog just to kind of show examples of what good quality Pressbooks were if there was an author that was interested in creating something. But since the search functionality is pretty limited, it wasn't really useful in a lot of contexts. Of course, the Pressbooks Directory is more recent and has a lot more search functionality. And so in those interviews, we really recognize that, yeah, those discovery options are much more useful for people and they're generally well liked across the board. In the next few weeks, we are going to do a sort of like hackathon style work session with the developers and design teams. And we've got a few key features that we really want to get out this first round of things. So first, we really want to have a search function, actually have one, because that's something that was lacking before. Make sure that we can really search through the metadata, get title, subject, short and long descriptions able to be searched through the network catalogs, as well as have much more descriptive book cards, because right now they're just these blocks of color with titles that are cut off, sometimes subjects, and just a click to see more. And so we really want to add a lot more information there so that you don't need to question what you're really getting into. So making sure that those book covers are featured, that we have the authors, editors, subject, language, much more akin to what the Pressbooks Directory style of book card looks like. Plus, we wanted to also expand the filtering system, so making sure that we have a more comprehensive filter set that people can really navigate through those books even easier. We also have more ideas, but we'll reserve those for the future round of adding on to it. And of course, adding these features on, we want to make sure that we're testing them as well to make sure they're meeting people's needs. So we probably will have another round of recruitment for doing some user tests and interviews on the next update of this. That's basically where we're at with it.
So thank you, Michelle. What I think you'll expect to see is, I hope that this time in August, actually I'm going to be on vacation, but maybe this time in September, we will be able to show you the new Aldine catalog that we've redesigned, and you'll have had some time to use it and get familiar with it. Another thing that we'll be doing is Travis will be working on a short training video for network managers that shows you how you can use the existing catalog or at least use your book list to add books to your network catalog. And soon there will be a catalog that we think that you'll be able to be proud of and can use to showcase books published on your Pressbooks directory. So that's what's coming, and we're excited for that, and we hope to have something more to show you soon. The other thing that I wanted to share is kind of bigger news for individual authors. Most of the people here, I think, are running enterprise networks, so this may not be as interesting for you, but it might be interesting for a lot of people watching the recording. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the new product subscription offering that we've just launched and how it works and what it does. So the first thing I want to share is this screen. So if you were to visit the pressbooks.com marketing site, we have a Get Started page that helps people think about how they can get started with Pressbooks. So Pressbooks is, as you know, open source software, and there's a lot of different ways that people can use it. First, if you wanted to, you could download the software, host it yourself, and run your own open source Pressbooks network. That's doable, but it is difficult. You have to have some sysadmin skills and some knowledge of how to run and maintain a server and all the updates. So most of the time, individuals who are writing books don't want to also run a server with the software on it. They want to just have a self-hosted service. And that's what the new service is offering. We have two different tiered plans that are subscription-based plans for individuals. And then we also have an enterprise plan where an institution can pay us to provide hosting, training, and support for a Pressbooks network. And so most of the people on this call are in the enterprise tier, but we know there are a lot of individual authors that are institutions that don't have Pressbooks networks, and they would still like to use Pressbooks to publish a book without having to host the software themselves. And so now there's a self-publisher option, and there's a collaboration option with prices clearly listed, and a set of features that are included in each of these plans. So there's a clear feature table that describes what you can do. Anybody who wants to can go to pressbooks.pub, create a free account. And when you have an account, you can make as many books as you like. Each time you create a book, you will have a 7-day free trial. to test out Pressbooks and its features and see whether it's something you want to use. Sometime before the end of the trial, you can then choose to upgrade to an individual self-publisher subscription or collaboration subscription for that book. And here are all the features included in each of those tiers. We know that this also represents a change for individuals. Many individuals had previously been using an old self-publisher kind of product at pressbooks.com. And so we've published an announcement here that describes what's happening. But what's happening is the new subscription tiers offer a bunch of educational features that were not previously available on pressbooks.com and which we could not make available on pressbooks.com for various legacy technical reasons. And so now that we've offered these new monthly subscription offerings for books, we're no longer going to be hosting the old books at pressbooks.com or at another service called Ingram Spark. So those books at the end of September will not be hosted, but we are offering migration services for anyone who would like to move to the new individual subscription product. If someone wants to migrate their book, they can do so between now and September 29th. They can also choose, hey, I don't want to use this new service and I want to just take my content and go. So you have until the end of September, if you're on the Pressbooks.com network, to produce exports and to host them elsewhere or do what you like with them. If they want to migrate to the new subscription, there's kind of two buckets that people can be in. First, if you have a public, openly licensed book at pressbooks.com, we will continue to host it indefinitely for free at the new service because we think that's a public good and we want people to still have access to your open resources. If you want to continue to make edits to that resource, then you would need a subscription plan to edit the book in the future. If the book is private or is not openly licensed, then you would need a subscription plan for it to be hosted and edited at the pressbooks.pub service. So the thing that I want to demonstrate is here is a sample book that I have on pressbooks.com. When you log into pressbooks.com, if you had a book at pressbooks.com, you'll see a banner that tells you the date that we will no longer host books there, and we'll link to the announcement that I just was sharing on the screen. It also says the book will be deleted permanently. If you don't intend to use Pressbooks, please export your content. If you wanted to export your content, you could always come to the export option and make exports in any of these formats. Take your book and do what you want with it, including sell it, distribute it, host it somewhere else, however you want to use it. If you do want to try the new service or purchase a subscription there, there's a request migration button. And what will happen is you will be brought to a request migration screen, which will tell you what the migration entails. I will explain it and then I will do it so you can see it. When you request migration, what will happen is the book at pressbooks.com will be deactivated. It will be cloned to pressbooks.pub with the same content and the same privacy status, and it will be automatically enrolled in a free trial at pressbooks.pub. You'll get an email with your new pressbooks.pub account information, and you'll get an email when the migration is completed with how to log into the book. If you had purchased an upgrade on pressbooks.com, we'll also give you a promo code, which will be good for the same amount of value that you purchased the upgrade for the new service. So hopefully you feel like the upgrade that you purchased hasn't totally gone to waste, but it can be used for the new product. So in this case, I'm going to select this book that I want to migrate, and I'm going to click the migrate selected books option. It's going to say we received your migration request. For each book that's migrated, you'll receive a confirmation email on how to access your content and activate your preferred subscription. If you were coming to pressbooks.pub for the first time and you wanted to create an account or had an account created, what you would do is you'd see this sign-in page and you'd be able to click sign in. When you come to the sign in option for pressbooks.pub, you'll see you can sign into an existing account if you have one. You can also sign in with any of these 5 social tools. We have an integration that will support any of these options. Or if you don't have an account and want to create one, you can click this link and you could sign up for a new account by providing an email address and choosing a password. In this case, I already have an account and I think it's already linked with my Google. So let me just log in with and I am logged in here. You'll be able to see all the books that you have migrated here. So I'll pick a sample book and you'd see, I think this book is on a free trial. Great. So I'm on the free trial plan. And from the free trial plan, you can choose to select a plan and purchase an upgrade if you want it. So what this might look like would be, let's say I wanted to try the self-publisher plan. I would choose select this plan, and I'd be taken to a Stripe checkout. So Stripe is a common tool used for purchasing things online. And you would see all the options available here. I could switch to an annual plan, which would save X number of dollars a year, or I could stay on the regular plan. I could add a promo code. So if I had a promo code, I could add one here. And then I can also add my email information, the credit card information I need to do, and then I would click this to subscribe. I'm not going to actually enter credit card information on a recording for probably obvious reasons, but that's how it would look. And then once you've completed that flow, you would have your book upgraded automatically to the subscription tier. And if you wanted to cancel or change your subscription, there's a really easy option on the dashboard that lets you do those things. Great question. Lauren asked, if someone from your university or another institution that has an enterprise subscription signs up at that account, will they be notified to go to their EDU site? Right now, we don't have a tool that does that, but what we have been thinking is we're going to build little notifiers for our team that just checks for EDU email domains. And so if we see that there's 2 or 3 people that have signed up from an EDU email domain, we'll go and look and be like, is that an EDU email domain that already has an enterprise subscription? If so, we'll try to contact those people and let them know that, hey, there's an enterprise option that might be better for you, and get them in touch with the network managers. Can you tell me more about what you would like to have happen or what you think ought to happen for your people at your institution, Lauren?
I'm just imagining that, you know, as a librarian, I know a lot of times we're trying to really direct people through our own website, and then they'll go to Google and search for EBSCO or JSTOR and wind up on a paid service. So it's not, I can imagine this happening where, you know, someone hears about Pressbooks through our university and then they Google Pressbooks and they get there and kind of miss that we have an EDU account. So I think this will be really of interest to faculty who might want to self-publish outside of our EDU network, but I just want to make sure that they're not.
Yeah, we don't want that either.
Yeah,
that makes sense. John, were you going to say something? I think you were muted.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, Lauren, it's a great question. And based upon the feedback we've been getting from some users already on pressbooks.com, moving over to pressbooks.pub, there's an awful lot of users that are affiliated with an EDU account, and they've signed up with their Gmail or some other email domain. So we don't really even know to check that, but I've already alerted a number of people that they have access or may have access to a network already. So we'll keep doing that, but it is something I think when Steel says this isn't something that you might immediately care about, you might hear from people that that Pressbooks is making this change and they may be looking for a new platform. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, thank you. That's great to hear.
I'd also just like to echo what Lauren said. I think that would be of great assistance to us. You know, we have our network locked down right now to the email domains of the 25 institutions plus our organization. And I wonder if there's just a way that it could be connected to even say to them, you have an option of either getting a self-published, you know, account if you want your own and want to have it independent of ours, or get an account on your network, you know, for free there. Because I don't personally have a problem if one of our faculty wants to have an independent thing completely separated from our institution and us. But it would be great if they knew that it existed for them. And another thing too, still I'll say is about the new category for individual self-publishing. It actually helps us too, I think, as network managers, because I see a clear distinction of the value that we provide with what we pay on a per user basis there. So I appreciate you all showing that to us too.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree, Brett. Because I was a network manager for a long time at the University of Wisconsin. And so I empathize. And I think, well, the last thing that we want is for people who have access to an enterprise network to be going somewhere else and having a frustrating experience. Because the whole point of you getting an enterprise network is so that you can help people at your institution have the experience you want them to have. And so we're trying to figure out better ways to catch people who might have signed up mistakenly while not force, like, because there are legitimate cases where maybe I have a uw.edu email address and I want to use Pressbooks Self-Publisher. We don't want to force them to only use Lauren's network if they want to do something else, but we also want to make sure that they're not buying a subscription if their institution's already bought one for them. That doesn't seem like it's good for anybody. Thank you for highlighting that. We will continue thinking about that, and we'll be talking about either tools that we've built or ways to detect that, and we will be in touch with network managers about signups, et cetera. Because I think that's this, to be honest, there are on the pressbooks.com network, there were something like 120,000 books. A huge number of them were spam. And then there were something like 130,000 users. A huge number of them had edu email addresses, a huge number of them from networks that have enterprise licenses already. So we hope that the problem will be much less now that we have a new subscription product where we can kind of monitor that more closely. But this pressbooks.com network that we're going to be no longer hosting books on, it existed long before there were even enterprise Pressbooks networks for any institution. And so part of this is cleaning up a bunch of old legacy things, and we will try to be mindful of that and observant of that going forward. And we'll keep communicating. And if there's something that you notice that isn't going well, please do let us know, and we will do our best to respond as humans who care about you and the experience you have.
No, greatly appreciate that, Steel. And thank you, John, for also the manual work you're doing on this. And I might also offer, if it's ever helpful, I can send you a list of our email domains if it ever would be helpful for cross-checking. But yeah, let us know if there's
that probably would be, especially for the consortia, Brad. Like, it's easier, much easier for us in the case of individual institutions, like when it's Penn State or University of Washington, we know what email domains to look for.
Yeah.
When it's 25 institutions from the state of Oklahoma, we might not always know. Yeah.
I'll be happy to send that over to you. No problem.
Is there anything else that people wanted to ask about with the subscription service at pressbooks.pub or the migration tool or our plans for continued hosting for open and licensed books? Awesome. Okay, so the thing that I want to just stress and make sure that's clear on the recording are two things. One, we are really excited about the pressbooks.pub subscription offering because it offers a lot of the educational features that people have wanted to individuals without enterprise connections. We think that's important. We think that's a nice experience. We think people that want to make textbooks with H5P activities, or that want to do open pedagogy projects, or that want to share their files more widely, or that even want to clone books. None of those things were possible on the old pressbooks.com network. All of those things are possible now on pressbooks.pub. And we hope that's attractive and interesting for educators who want to use Pressbooks. The second thing I wanted to stress is, if you made an open textbook and it's an open, public, open and licensed resource on pressbooks.com, we will not be deleting it, and you're not required to have a subscription for us to keep hosting it. We want to keep hosting those things. We think they're a public good. We have no interest in deleting open educational resources or making people pay a subscription to host an open educational resource. In those cases, we will continue hosting it free of charge. The subscription would only be necessary for editing access or to use the features of the subscription tiers. If a user were to cancel that subscription, we'll continue hosting the open educational resource free of charge indefinitely, and it would just be in a read-only state unless and until they wanted to activate a subscription again in the future. So that's our intention, that's our plan, and we hope that we are satisfying the people that want to use this and still providing a public good, and also balancing the interest of how do we reduce the amount of spam that's on the Pressbooks network and people trying to use the internet for less positive things, which is unfortunately what we saw a lot of with the old pressbooks.com network. So that's what I wanted to share there. Just want to thank everybody for coming out this month. That was our July monthly product update.